Yes.
Yes.
Well, we first want to welcome everybody here and to say thank you for joining us. This discussion is going to be about how we can deal with our mental health as all of us are facing an unprecedented global crisis.
And this is Steve, and I'm Abby Glass, and we are also the owners of the Studio City Osteostrong, and have 20 years each with private practices doing psychology.
Yes.
So thanks for being here.
And although this is educational in nature, if it stirs up something in anybody who's listening, and you need more support, please feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to connect you with a referral that might be able to give you more support with whatever it is that you're dealing with. Okay. So to begin with, people are having a wide range of experiences in relationship to this, again, unprecedented global crisis. Some people are enjoying parts of it. They're connecting more to their loved ones. They're connecting more to themselves. They're feeling more connected to nature. Some people are enjoying the absence of pressure and being able to step off momentarily off the hamster wheel that sometimes we are all on in our life. And sometimes people that are enjoying parts of it are feeling really guilty about it as a result of all the suffering that others are experiencing. Some people are experiencing enormous amounts of grief related to losses of people, losses of their health, losses that are financial. Some people are losing businesses or are losing careers. Almost everybody is losing, to some degree, their sense of security and of the world being quite as predictable as it was. And other people are losing the experiences related to milestones in their lives, graduations, proms, weddings, and so on.
And with that, there's facing disappointment. So in all of the age ranges, people are facing disappointments around losing different rites of passage at whatever stage you might be in.
But far and away, more than any other type of experience people are struggling with is with their fear and anxiety. Some people are struggling with their fears of getting sick, while other people are struggling with their fears of their loved ones getting sick. People are struggling with their fears about what the depth of the impact will be on their lives, whether or not they'll lose people, how much they'll suffer financial loss. Some people are struggling with their fears related to how long this will go on for, when will it end, or what the results might be. All of these fears can be thought of within the general framework of dealing with uncertainty and of our relationship to uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to be hurt, how much they're going to be hurt, and we're not going to know. Uncertainty is hard for many of us, or probably more accurately, for all of us. But it's a basic fundamental condition of life, whether we've accepted it as that or not. We all struggle with uncertainty and facing uncertainty and the unknown. Most of us have bad associations or bad experiences related to not being in control that color our experience of facing uncertainty and the unknown. And right now, collectively, just like a rising tide elevates all ships, rising anxiety is elevating many people's anxieties and symptoms related to their anxieties. Some people are struggling with difficulty sleeping. Some people are struggling with excessive worry. Some people are dealing with issues of using more substances or being on their social media too much. We either learn to be more effective in dealing with uncertainty and the unknown, or we will struggle with our symptoms of not being effective at it. In fact, this issue is so important that one of the most famous figures in the field of psychology and family therapy was a man named Carl Whitaker. And he had a famous quote that said, being an adult, being a mature adult, is being able to stay grounded with both feet planted firmly in the air. So how do we get more effective in dealing with our fears related to the unknown and related to uncertainty? It has to do with us getting more connected to what our needs are, what our emotional needs are related to our fears. And Abby is going to run everybody through an exercise where that's designed to help people connect more to their needs so they can take better care of themselves in dealing with what they're facing.
Thank you. So with all of that said, sometimes it helps just to have it all named out loud. And one of the things that I'll talk about is it's a saying of name it to tame it. And if it's swimming around in your head or in your body, the experience, once you name it, you can have a different relationship with it. So what I'm going to do with you, and we had written in there, if you don't have a pen and a paper, now's a good time to go grab one. I'm going to work through making a chart with you that's your custom chart. So I've got this dry erase board, and I want to make sure that you can see it, and I can bring it closer as we work on it together. But I'm going to name a bunch of things that could potentially go on this chart. But what I want you to do is put things on the chart that work for you. There's so much out there right now. There are so many offers out there. There are so many people telling you what you should and shouldn't do, how you should and shouldn't feel. And I want to find out exactly what you need for you to kind of go through this experience as it goes on. So I'm calling it a quarantine support chart, a QSP. So I want everybody to leave this talk with their own QSP. And the reason for that is that when we get flooded, when we have a wave of this emotion, whether it's, any of the things that Steve just mentioned, but when you're in a wave of that emotion, it becomes a little harder to think. We're very right brain when we're emotional. And sometimes it's hard to cognitively think of what am I going to do to help myself right now? So when you create this chart, then you have something tangible. You can take a photo of it, you can carry it on your phone, or literally the piece of paper that you make. And when you get overwhelmed in some way by one of these feelings, you get to go to your chart and choose one of the things on the wheel. So,
Want me to hold it?
yeah. So can people see this? Can you see what it says well enough? Let me just see.
Yes, we can see it. Just
Yes,
we can
see it.
a little bit.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Abby,
Okay.
a little bit in the front of it. Good, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so quarantine support chart. So go ahead and make yourself a big, lovely circle. And you might want 6 or 8 pieces of the pie here. I'm going to add a lot more because different things are going to be right for different people. So I can't see the bottom of it. So as we go, we'll figure out tonight. So I'm going to name some things, and then you guys can also name things that maybe I haven't put on my chart that would work for you. So one of the things you might think about that is comforting to people is reading. Okay, so this is where you might start. Books. Some people just get calmed down or chilled by reading. Some people might need some kind of self-care. So a lot of things can fit in that category. It might be a bath. In the past, I'd write massage, but you might literally massage your own feet. Lots of pressure points there that can be comforting. So there might be other things that fit in this category of self-care for you. So another biggie is grounding. So when we get overwhelmed and we get up into our heads, we've got to get back down into our bodies. So one of the ways, there's something called tapping. You can hug yourself this way, and you can either alternate squeezes right and left, or you can literally tap right and left. This helps integrate the right and left brain. The other place that I find it very, very helpful for people, because previously you could do it when you're in a work meeting, or you can do it in the car, or for us, we can do it at home. But if you're just sitting or standing, squeezing up and down your legs from like up your thighs, from your knees up your thighs, and it gets you literally back down into your body. And then you can also do the alternating right and left leg to help integrate the hemispheres. And some of these you'll experiment with and see if they fit on your list. There's one more of these grounding things. You cross your fingers. This is a very occupational therapy piece that I learned, and I did with my children as well. It's great for kids. You lace your fingers, put it on top of your head, and push down on your own head. And you can feel it immediately. We got to the point where our children, when I would start to lose my cool, my little boy would look at me and go, "Mom, Mom," you know. So, and also if you are with a child, and we are hearing a lot about, everybody has different ages of children at home, or not, but people with young children having a pretty hard time navigating everything within the house. So if you're picking up a child, you can just push down on their head with one hand, or squeeze into their back as you're holding them, and they don't realize that they're getting the pressing and the grounding, but grounding that way and tapping. Yeah.
And tending to your body is important, because the charge of the emotion is moving through it and being experienced in your body. So using different tools to support your body, like Abby just laid out, to carry the charge better, more effectively, and with more comfort, is an important skill set to work on, to learn about.
Okay, so piggybacking on that is move. So with the charge Steve is talking about, some people have got to just move. There's a whole body of therapy work called Somatic Experience with Peter Levine, but it's about literally like getting that charge out. So some people need to shake it out. Sometimes it rides, in different places of your body. Some people can dance. So in that, there's like dance, there's shaking, and then there's walking. And any kind of exercise. So we know that exercise and building up a sweat and breathing that way can also move along emotions. So exercise.
Can I add one thing there?
Yeah.
And moving things out of or through your body can be thought of as the metabolizing them. So they're not in here, but they're out there where they belong. They don't belong all stuck in here. So moving them helps to move them through and metabolize them. And all of those are great tools to do that.
Okay. Reality check. So some people are going to go off in their heads. and they need to reality check. What's your truth right now? And so it's not what you hope. It's really reality right now, because we go off to the races in our head. So reality right now, and you might need to narrate for yourself. So I talk about narrating a lot. So you might need to say to yourself right now, like if I got a wave of anxiety, I would say, whew, I'm feeling anxiety. I am feeling short. My breath is shallow. And I will name what's happening in my body. My heart is racing a little faster. I'll name whatever is actually happening. And then I will extend it. So I'll name what's going on in my body, which is, my heart is going faster, or I feel a little sweaty, or my mouth is dry. Name what's actually happening. And then I'm sitting here, I'm doing this talk. I'm sitting here with Steve. We're in our home. My kids are over there. We're safe. We're safe, right? In this reality moment, we're safe. I'm okay. So narrating.
And what Abby's saying is so important, because it also implies coming back into the present, as opposed to being in the future, which is the direction of the anxieties. The anxieties get projected onto what's going to happen, manifest that way. So in the present, there's more comfort available.
So on this one, I wrote narrating, and then with little notes about body and then external. So you want to narrate for yourself what's happening in your body. And then also, I actually started it with reality check. And they kind of go together. So narrating what your reality is internally and then externally, just right there in that moment. Structure. Some people need structure. The other thing is that I was just going to say in the informational piece is this can change day to day. The honeymoon is over. We are a few weeks in. And so now we're really having to navigate kind of what is feeling like a long-term experience. So some people need, I want to call it a small, medium, or large amount of structure. And you might need that different amounts on different days. And you might need real strong structure today, but last week you didn't. Like last week, maybe you enjoyed waking up late and being in pajamas all day. The other thing I want to add that I wanted to add before is that permission. There's got to be so much permission right now. This is not normal. It is literally a pandemic. And so lots of permission to be different, to feel different, to act differently, and to figure out what we need differently. So, so structure, small, medium, and large. And you get to check in with yourself and see what that is. So it can go on your support chart. And it may be something that you need some days and not others. So within that structure, it may be that you commit to take a shower each day. It may be that you commit to go on a walk. It may be that you commit to meditate. It may be that you write out from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. what you're going to do every half hour. That's in the range of small to large. And you might need that every day for a week. And you got to check out with yourself how much of that you might need.
Very important.
And within that structure, it's what you can give yourself that might change day to day, but you could also, it might include giving yourself something like an appointment a week or an appointment 2 days a week. There are so many offers of free or nominal fee, whether it's meditation or movement, meetings, you might want to give yourself a weekly appointment or something that you have that's stable and solid every week that you get to go to. Appointment. And then small to large. So the other thing is a group. So with a group, you find people that can relate to something you're going through. And this is something that I did long before pandemic, but it's so helpful to have a group of people that understand the nuances of whatever it is that you're going through. So whatever else you have in your life, there still remains all of those online support groups, whether it's an eating issue or a child with a special need, or you know, all of the AA, all of the anonymous groups. If you search almost anything, people with Hashimoto's, people with, you can find a group for anything. And the benefit of those groups are that they're people from all over. And I kind of like to say, take what you want and leave the rest. Use the group for you. So you don't have to feel responsible for responding to everybody else's posts. You don't also have to read everybody's posts, but you can go on there morning, noon, or night, or middle of the night, and you can write something on there. And then within a short period of time, if you find a large group, you're going to have some responses that are going to feel good and are going to help you feel connected. So one thing that you can do on those groups is, whatever your specific group is, you might have an experience where you go on and say, can I just hear positive experiences with this test? Or can I hear somebody who got through this experience? Or how did you get through it? So that you can not just, sometimes asking an open-ended questions might get you some answers that you don't necessarily want in a massive group of people. So you can actually be specific in your questions.
Yeah, and how are people getting, you could ask, how are people getting through dealing with their anxiety at night when their head hits the pillow and their mind starts to spin? Or how are people dealing with their fears related to their finances? And people can respond to you with what they need and what they needed and what they did, which can help connect you to what you need, which is really the heart of so much of what Abby's presenting, is connecting to the different ingredients of what you need.
So another one, and then I want to say questions here so that you structure the questions for your group. Another one is reassurance. We're going to need reassurance through this. I might go to Steve if I'm having a wave of difficult feeling, and I might say, tell me we're going to be okay. And I just really need to hear we're going to be okay. Or I might be more specific. Give me a hug and let me know that we're safe. Or I need a hug, or I need to just hear we're okay. I need to hear our kids are going to be okay. And that requires some thinking about what you actually need, because often we expect our partners or people around us that we're in relationship with to be able to give us what we need without telling them what we need. And yes, it feels really good when someone just guesses what you need. It feels like a parent kind of taking care of you, but in most of our adult relationships, we're responsible. We're responsible, unfortunately, for saying exactly what we need, which sometimes takes some figuring out. And you can make a deal with the people in your household. Hey, can I come to you and just ask for reassurance in these 4 ways when I need it? And sometimes making that agreement before you hit that moment of some anxiety or fear or however it's manifesting for you can be helpful. And it also relieves your partner because they know what to do. And so when someone doesn't know what to do, a partner, it can be hard, and then they're guessing, and then I'm running forward, but then if they don't give you what you want, then you can get resentful, but yet they didn't even know what you wanted to begin with. So be specific about what your needs are. And one little extra piece here. Sometimes our partner might be having a wave at the same time, and they might not be able to give us what we're asking for. And when that happens, we want you to have a list of some other people and some other ways that you can get reassurance. So we happen to be in a global need for reassurance. And so there's a higher probability that your partner or a family member or someone in the household or even outside of the household won't be able to give you exactly what you want in that moment. And so have some choices. Have some choices of places that you can go for that. Okay, so the next one, that's about reassurance. The next one, and these may not all fit for you, and that's okay, is share, vent. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that one, but I think you're all writing. So choose your share person wisely. You also might want to, at this time, ask your person that you need to share with, because sometimes we need to share out loud. Ask your person if they can take it right now. Hey, I have a vent. I am flooded. I just need to share and vent. Are you in a place where you can just hear it? I'm not asking you to do anything. I just need to share it. Yes. Okay. And your partner can say, or whoever you're calling can say, you know what? Yeah, I'm all here. They could also say, I've got about 10 minutes worth of it, and then I start to get worked up. So go for it for 10 minutes. So pick that person that you're going to do that with wisely. But especially in these times, it's really easy to go monkey mind, which is circular thinking over and over in your head by yourself. And so it's really important to recognize when you need to share or vent, so that you're not just trapped in your own head. And sometimes hearing yourself say it out loud it is going to activate some healing process for you. And the next one, so I'm going to go out here. I'm going to add more, and you can make your chart however. Journaling, writing. So we know that when you write things down, physically write it, something happens in you. So there is process that happens. There is healing that can happen when you write things, especially repetitively.
Yeah, there's an old study done, I think about 20 years ago, that had people who were going through difficult experiences or recounting traumatic experiences. They had to write it out 3 times. And they measured the amount of cortisol in their body as they were writing out the experience. Now, for those of you that don't know, cortisol is a stress hormone. So it's related to an experience of difficulty or trauma. And what they found is that as the person wrote it out repetitively, the level of cortisol surrounding the experience in the body decreased. It's pretty powerful.
Okay. Total shift. Just something new. Something new that is kind of exciting to you. Learn about it, read about it, try it. Photography, mapping, knitting, photo scrapbooking, painting, coloring, crayons, something new. And it can just be a trial. It can just be try it out, play for a minute. Cooking can be really calming for some people. That would not go on my chart. I put food together, but I don't really enjoy cooking. But it really works for some people. So,
I see somebody on here who it might be on their list.
yes, we know somebody on here
Yes, you.
that is fond of cooking.
And very good at it.
Yes. Let me see. Oh, face-to-face contact. So I have already found, instead of picking up the phone, I will FaceTime somebody because we need contact.
Yeah.
So we're seeing how much we need it. So literal FaceTime. So, and everybody starts saying, oh, I just, I didn't put myself together. It just get face to face. Just get punum to punum. So FaceTime people or Zoom them. You can do individual Zooms. People that you haven't talked to. A lot of people are having Zoom parties. So I have a group of moms that from my preschool days with my kids, and every Friday night we've been at 8:00 we Zoom, and it's kind of like this resurgence of connecting. And we always did before in littler ways, but we didn't get face to face like this, and life was so crazy busy that it just didn't happen the same way. So you can make a small group to get face to face with regularly or randomly.
Let me say one thing about that. And it's what Abby's saying is so important, whether it's about the contact, connection, sharing, because the model for getting through difficult experiences needs to not be the model of the superhero. I'm going to do it on my own. It's really more of a Knights of the Round Table model.
Oh.
We're in this together. And if you try to go about it alone, one, you're just enacting this cultural notion that we're supposed to be able to, and two, you're setting yourself up for suffering and to suffer from more symptoms.
Okay, so another one is a cozy corner, a space. Whether you're working from home or you are just quarantined at home, find control. There's so many ways that we're out of control. Find a little corner or one chair, light, and table that is yours to manage. Manage the heck out of it. Make it nice. Have the just right book there. Have the cup of tea there. Have the art supplies there. Whatever it is, manage your corner or your workstation. A place that you can go to feel just right, because we're in the house all the time, and some people are cleaning it like crazy, and some people it's a disaster. Make one space that you know that you can go to and it feels really good. It might be facing a window, it might be a dark spot for you depending on your likes. So cozy corner. And that one is aesthetically pleasing, it's internally comforting, and on a bigger scale, it really is just a slice of control. I have control in this space. Okay. Do you have anything to add there?
No, I'm just thinking of something that we were talking about before about you called it riding the waves.
Yeah. So we talk about riding the waves in therapy all of the time. So whichever kind of wave it is, it's going to come up and surge, and then it's going to come back down. So if we can help ourselves ride them, whether it's on a surfboard, I mean, literally sometimes when those waves of emotion come, you can imagine the surfboard and it rises up and it comes. So tolerating that wave of discomfort, however it shows up for you.
The surfboard metaphor is really important. Being able to surf different size waves, waves of grief, waves of anxiety. And Abby's right that in our basic fundamental wiring, these things don't last forever. In Buddhism, there's a fundamental law, the law of impermanence. They don't last forever. They have a wave-like nature to them. Being able to ride them is really important. In one more term they use for this, another metaphor, and I think this is from Tibet, in Tibetan Buddhism, is the idea of staying in the saddle. So being able to stay in the saddle of the wild horse that's inside of us, the emotional wild horse that can sometimes buck and be very difficult to ride.
So, and that terminology for you can fit into the narrating part of your chart. I'm riding the wave. The feelings are building up, and they're still building up, and then naming what's going on, and you will see that they come down. And also part of the reality check. This is a wave. I'm in a wave of sad. Did we talk about, we mentioned a little bit grief triggers. So
let me say one more thing about the waves. When your orientation is to ride an emotional wave, you're not in the emotional wave. And the difference between your orientation being to ride something out versus just being tossed by it is really important.
I just wanted to say, for some people, there can be a lot of deep trauma triggers in this experience. So
yes.
For some people, it's if they've ever had an experience of feeling trapped, whether it's from childhood, or I have a friend who was in Israel during the war and had to go through masking and taping doors. This is for her. And so to be cognizant of those triggers, and in our bodies hold our traumas. So when any trauma happens, the body feels every other trauma that's happened. This is also said about loss and death. So there's a saying, there's only one true death. And that first death, every time you have a loss and a death, it triggers in the body every other loss and death that you've experienced. So that's where I want to bring in permission again too, because this is going to be triggering for a lot of people in so many different ways. And it may be percolating things that you thought were processed and done, or integrated, and being in your home in this way and told how to do it and what we need to do may trigger some of those pieces. What are you going to add there?
That the triggering is what turns a 4-foot wave into a 14-foot wave.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Abby's point is so important, because if your level of self-awareness about your experiences increases, you can make distinctions between what belongs to the present, what part of the wave is about the present and something you're dealing with, and what part of the wave is more about something in the past that needs to be addressed. Separating those out can orient you towards getting different kinds of help that you need to get through those different experiences.
I want to do one other little thing. So is everybody solid with this? I think you wrote it as we went. Can I erase that? Everybody good?
A great individual recipe that you get to make from this.
Yeah.
That comes from your own interest in and sensitivity to your own needs to deal with your anxieties and griefs and other experiences you're having during this time.
Okay, so that's not a fabulous job, but there's one other thing that I worked with children for 3,000 hours and families, and I developed something called the angry arrow, and it was to help children with impulsivity. But I realized over time it really applies to any emotion. And if you do 0, 1, 2, 3, if you go 1 to 10, up that board, up that arrow, I would ask you to kind of check out in yourself right now. Where are you at? This could be the anxiety arrow. It could be the sad arrow. It could be the mad arrow, frustrated arrow, whatever it is for you in the moment. So I might say to you, check whatever feeling you're looking at right now. Check out. Are you at a 0, a 1, a 2? Where are you right now? Some people might say a 3 or a 4. So when you start to feel a wave come on, you might notice where you are. And what I say is you have all kinds of choice from 0 to 5. You get to go to your whole pie chart, your whole quarantine support chart from 0 to 5. And you can start to notice. And noticing is just massive. If you can notice in yourself from 0 to 5, you've got all kinds of opportunity to help yourself. Once you hit a 6, we go from 6 to 10 in a snap. Then you have to just work harder to get yourself down here. So if you can start to notice when things are building, then you can go to your support chart and you have all of this opportunity and chance and options. It's when you hit here, and you're going to see it happen more often right now in this situation, but start to notice.
And let me just repeat something that Abby said earlier on. Well, let me just hold this here. That you think about and identify your needs and your chart now, because when you're here,
Right.
It's not going to happen. You're not going to have the cognitive capacity when you're in the middle of an emotional storm to be able to identify it. So it has to be done when you're not in the storm so that you can draw upon it then.
Right. And you're not in the storm right now, and you just made a chart. So now you actually have something tangible that's specific to you. Do you have anything that you want to add right now?
Only that this is that doing this, something like this, reflects an opportunity in the middle of this. There's a lot of bad things that are happening to a lot of people, a lot of difficulties for most of us. But one thing that can come from this, among others, is your ability to identify things you need that will help support you, to increase your ability to care for yourself in difficult experiences. And that is a priceless treasure.
And you get to own it and take it with you long beyond pandemic.
Now, do we have time for any questions?
Yeah. So we wanted to just open up if there's any questions anybody has. And thank you for doing this with us. And you can unmute yourself if you swipe off.
Can you hear me? Hi. Sorry. So hi, Liam. Thank you for teaching him. I just wanted to say that last portion was really critical and it's really, really helpful. So many of us hold it, and then we start to burst when we're already in the storm, and we've lost our capacity to really communicate effectively with either ourselves or our partner, because our mind starts to spin. So thank you for that. The whole thing was wonderful, but I really appreciate that last portion really stuck inside me. So thank you.
Yeah, Greg, there was some of the most famous people in the couples therapy field did research with couples. They attach monitors to them so they can monitor their physiology. So that when one member of a couple got reactive and was at a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, a red light would go on. They stopped the couples work and helped that person until they can come back down into a more functional state, and then it can continue. But we don't have those in our real lives.
No, we should all walk around with beacons.
We all should, right?
Green, red, green, and yellow.
You're red. Yeah. Go take care of
red.
yourself, and then we'll come back.
But it's also, if you communicate this with people in your life where you have relationships with, then you can also go to them and say, just letting you know, I'm at like a 4 right now. You know?
Yeah.
Or asking your partner, you seem up. Where are you on the scale? You know, it's good to check in, and kids can do that too. Yeah.
And I like that you just said to find a number on the scale, because so many people are afraid of being in trouble or being wrong. Or so if you just say, hey, listen, I'm at a 4 right now, I want to talk to you, it gives them an idea that, okay, we're going to have a conversation. This isn't going to be a beat down or something that's going to make us really uncomfortable or start to retract from.
Right.
So that's a nice way of opening that up. So thank you.
Yeah. Safety measure, emotional safety measure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jackie.
You see a hand goes up.
Thank you so much for this. It's amazing. You mentioned children and milestones, disappointment. Disappointment is something I'm working on in my own spiritual practice, and getting that fundamental comfort level with it. So my children are not having an 8th grade graduation, might not write the SAT, might not need it, but what does this mean for a rising junior? And helping them deal A, with disappointment, and B, with truth in uncertainty. So it's really 2 questions.
Yeah.
Georgia came to me and said, Mom, I need you to tell me that everything's going to be okay. This was like a week and a half ago. And I was not entirely regulated. I also didn't want to lie to her, but the appropriate amount of, now I can say from this talk today, you know what, honey, everything is okay today.
Yeah.
And we don't know. So as a parent, I need some modeling on how do I help my kids deal with disappointment, and how do I give the appropriate amount of, we're safe today, and life is about uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen to a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old. Because it scared the shit out of Georgia, pardon my French, when I couldn't give her the certainty she was looking for. I could certainly give her momentary comfort, but I couldn't tell her that we weren't going to lose someone, or, we don't know what's going to happen.
Can I say one thing about it? Then you do the parenting part, because she's better at that.
Thank you.
There's a difference between somebody wanting a guarantee, which is not available in this world, and somebody needing reassurance in the moment. In the moment.
She was asking for reassurance right then.
In the moment, getting the comfort from it in the moment. Yeah. They're not the same thing, and you just want to make the distinction between them in your own mind, so you can be sensitive to what's being asked for and what's not. And even when somebody is asking for the guarantee, usually it's just an emotional cue for their need for reassurance in the moment.
So helpful. Thank you.
With the disappointment piece, and it's validation. They need validation. We cannot fix this one. And it is really sad and disappointing that so many of our kids and grandkids are not going to get that rite of passage moment in the way that we all envisioned it. So we're seeing drive-by birthday parties, right? Kids are having birthdays. They make a parade of cars with signs. And I'm imagining that we are all going to come together in some way and figure out for our kids to have a very different looking rite of passage. So, and I happen to know that Jackie knows how to throw a party. So there might be in like a lot of the Gestalt therapy groups we do, there's lots of ritual. And so you might build some kind of an arc of flowers or something, or a tree branch where the family gathers in the backyard, and maybe you Zoom family in, and she gets to walk through that threshold. Look, I get teary. So we're going to find ways to give them those rites of passage.
Thank you, Abby.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. So good.
And validating the disappointment. So whether it's a graduation or a birthday party, rather than try and fix it or mix it up, if our kid comes to us and says something, rather than us jumping to our own whatever, we want to say, it is so disappointing. I'm so sorry you're not getting that. And it does stink. And this is an unbelievable time. And I'm so sorry you're not getting that. And we don't need to explain why, and the pandemic, they're very aware of all of that. We just need to validate.
Yeah, and one more thing, and disappointment is not going away.
Right.
And so orienting them towards their need to be able to tolerate and experience disappointment, and that it's part of life and needs to be accepted as such, may be the step after the validation. That one's the most important. But after that,
Are
these
there
aren't going away.
strategies? Are there strategies for orienting to be able to tolerate disappointment?
Yes, there
Yes.
Is there a book or
Hours worth.
yeah.
are. But you know, Jackie, I think the real thing would be you make a, you know, very few people have ever made the chart that Abby laid out.
Yeah,
For
your kids can
themselves.
make the chart.
There's a chart, I mean, an unmade chart for disappointment. There's an unmade chart for anxieties. There's an unmade chart for all of those that can become a made chart.
So
Right.
it's about the needs, identifying the needs around disappointment, identifying needs around anxiety. Got it. Okay.
And your two kids may have different ways that they have their needs met around disappointment.
Awesome. Thank you. So helpful.
Does anyone else have a question? I'm flipping through pictures to see.
Okay, well, I wonder if we've reached the end.
I think we've reached the end. Okay.
One question, Abby and Steve, about is there a way to get a picture of the chart or some guidelines so that we can do that, so that we can post on our site so that people have access to that?
We will have to go through the video because I just erased the chart. I can write a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you work on that? So we can put that together, Linda, and share it on the Strong Talks page in this event, which will be there along with this video, which is recorded.
That's great, Sarah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a good resource for people.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
so
It was
much.
really great to be
Thank
here.
you.
And take care of yourselves.